we are speaking up and we're mastering public speaking with confidence and presenting. Okay.
Right.
So let's just get cracking. Cool. So the key thing is the fear is real. Okay. And you are not alone. 77% of adults genuinely feel fear, and it's like deep rooted fear when they think about giving a presentation or public speaking or speaking to more than five people in a room. Like, even that can be quite daunting. So I want to just advise you, like, even professionals get nervous, even I get nervous, and even some keynote speakers, they have little jitters, but it's how we channel that energy and how we prepare beforehand to reduce that feeling as much as possible. Okay. So let's get to it. So why do we need these skills? So Saeed amazingly talked about how learning presentation skills and delivering presentations in his courses, and prior to that as well, he's been able to use that for interviews to build his skills up. Okay. So just to reiterate, it is important for like job interviews and promotions. So you really need to pitch your best self forward for a promotion. There's been situations where I've applied for an internal role. So it was like a progressions manager role. And I've had to create like a slide deck of my first 6 months in the role and what I'd do. Okay. So that's typical managerial style presentations that they'll ask you to do. But even if you're going for loads of different kinds of opportunities, which I'll talk about in the next couple of slides, you're going to need these skills, okay? Even if you're in a local community and you're leading a team of community towards a mutual goal, or whether you're volunteering, you might need these skills, whether it be you're working for a charity to pitch ideas for a fundraiser to a business for them to fund you, or whether, you're self-employed or you've opened a CIC and you need to go and speak to funders to fund your idea, okay? So these skills aren't just speaking, it's speaking with intention, okay? So pitching ideas, networking, running events. So you're going to be in front of loads of different kinds of people. So it's really important to understand who your audience is, okay? And what stories and what emotion you want to tap into the audience to get that engagement and to lock them in. And you will get the few stragglers that daydream, because I'm guilty. Sometimes I'm a daydreamer. But how do we pull them back? Okay. So it's not always about perfection, it's about the connection that you build with the people that you're speaking to. Okay. So there's 6 pillars of great talk. So there was 5, but I've added an additional one because why not? Okay. So like I've said, know your audience. What do they need? What is their immediate need? Once you understand that need, you can then tailor your message accordingly, right? Then you've got to have a clear and focused message. So you've got to find out your own aims and objectives of that conversation and that connection. So then you can somehow find the words and the right connection to make that partnership or that relationship or connection valuable. Then you want to think about your content. What specifically do you want to tell them? What's your key messaging? So you're thinking about your intro, your body, and your close, okay? Just like a simple sales pitch. If anyone's worked in sales, it's the same. And then thinking about delivering with confidence, emotion, and most of all, integrity. Make sure you are the go-to person of your topic of discussion when it comes to your presentation. So know the ins and outs, go and do your research, do a little bit of reading, have a little bit of knowledge. But sometimes if you don't have the knowledge, it's okay to say you don't, okay? I know it makes you feel a bit uncomfortable to say, hey, I don't know, but that's where integrity comes from. And then with integrity, that comes trust. Okay. And then thinking about practicing and reflecting and improving. So I'd recommend when I first started presenting in a role where I was doing a lot of youth engagement. So I had to engage young people. So I don't know about you guys, but it's a mission. Okay. So these are like 16 to 18-year-olds. Okay. So I had to have constant reviews on my presentations. So managers would sign off my presentations to say, hey, this is great. You're saying a little bit too much. All of these little points and considerations that you need to take into account when you are presenting, it will be flat out on a piece of paper so you can have that ability to grow from that point. And then also make sure your technology is working. And I'd always send a copy of your presentation to yourself on one or more emails. So at least you've got a backup just in case anything was to ever happen. Okay. So those are the key things because those are the ones that you can control. Okay. Now, thinking about how to build a talk that flows. So, you've got to have your hook, you've got to have a story or a question. It can even be a statistic, something that's going to stick into their heads that you can probably bring back when you come to the close or in the main body, something you can always refer back to. But also in your main body, think of 3 key points that they need to focus on. So I know that's difficult when we're trying to pitch everything, but what are the key 3 things that you want them to remember about you when they leave that presentation? And then as your close, have that as a strong summary, but also include a call to action. So a call to action is literally it's quite self-explanatory. So do you want them to email you? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to book an appointment? What is the purpose of that? Because there's got to be like a return on investment. So for different roles, that could look different across the board. So for my role, it could be appointments or workshops booked or those sorts of things. Whereas other roles, the call to action could be resulting in sign-ups or expression of interest forms and those sorts of things. So know what you want your audience to finish with and how you want them to engage with you from that point onwards. Okay. So when we're talking about presenting, it's not just your presentation. Okay, we can add beautiful colours, we can make it look all jazzy, but if we're not ready in terms of how we use our voice, how we use our tone, how we use our volume, try not to shout too much because your voice will go a little bit crackly. Pace, so speak with a rhythm that people can try and understand, and always pause. And I've got pause down twice on purpose to remind myself to pause because I realize when I'm presenting, I don't pause. It's just go, 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 because I feel like I have to get all this information into the audience. Okay. So, again, speaking with articulation, being clear, being concise, and you are going to stumble over your words. I stumble over my words all the time when I'm presenting, but recover from that. In drama, I remember learning about improvisation. Okay. So, presenting is improvisation at its key. You're going to read the audience. You're going to see, are they looking at you? Are they locked in and engaged? So when we're looking at eye contact, some people might struggle with this. So one of my best tips is to look in between people's eyebrows when you are presenting to them, when you're initially doing it, if you are a bit nervous, because that creates an illusion that you are looking at people in their eyes. Okay. So if eye contact's a bit of a nerve-wracking patch for you, that's one way you can overcome it. Okay. And then with your gestures, don't be too distracting. But of course, I speak a lot with my hands. So be purposeful with your movements or as much as you can. And then also your facial expressions, smile, be natural, be your authentic self. And with movement, I wish we were in person because then I'd show you the difference between frantic movements, but also just natural and flowy movement, and how you can use the room or how you can demonstrate movement and confidence and openness by using the space around you. But I'm sure you can watch some YouTube videos on that as well, okay? That's an awesome resource. So again, body language speaks out massively, okay? Thinking about your closed posture, that can be quite hostile. It shows that you're quite anxious. If you're quite open, it shows that you're willing, that you're open to receiving communication. If you've got your arms crossed, that's quite closed off. Hands on your hips can be quite aggressive, but also when we've got hands on your hips when you're presenting, I think it gives you a little bit of confidence too, but don't do it too much. So it's all about balance. Okay. So talking about non-verbal communication, we always assume that communication is just your words, but from this chart, you can see it's only covering less than 10% of our communication. Okay. So a lot of it's your body, your movements, your arms, your face, but also how you talk. So your tone, your pauses, and your voice. Okay. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight on that.
I just want to ask you one thing, right?
Uh-huh.
So weakness I have is probably, I think we all have this, you probably have this is, I do the class session. I don't have a problem when I speak in front of a camera, I don't have a problem. I've
Hmm.
noticed teachers who, most experienced teachers don't, if you point a camera at them, they get nervous. Right. The only problem I can see that I might have is doing on stage, live on stage, any presentation.
Hmm.
That's the one I have a problem with. Though I haven't done it, just imagining it makes me worry. How would you get around that?
Honestly, it is practice because the larger the audience gets, the more you get comfortable. And again, it's like layers to it. The bigger the crowd, the more intense the discussion is, how long you're spending on the stage giving your talk as well, that makes a difference. Because if it's a shorter amount of time, then you might be okay. But then if it's an extended amount of time, again, how do you keep the audience engaged? But if you're in
Yes,
front of that many people, don't worry because they're already in front of you. The hard bit's done. So, how do you actually continue to stay on track, keep them engaged? And sometimes it's just breathing in between as well, allowing yourself to just breathe a little bit and acknowledge how you're feeling whilst you are on stage and think, okay, let me just take a minute for myself, have a sip of your water, reset. You're only human, okay?
Yeah.
No one's expecting you to go up there and just do an hour talk without any breaks, You might need to have a little refresher. And it's a lot of work talking, your mouth gets dry. So give that time to yourself to just reset and reshuffle your emotions a little bit and address them if you need to. And then just take a deep breath and just go for it again. That's the best I can advise
I
because I
mean,
have to do it often.
here's another thing very unusual.
Yeah.
I know actually public speaking is more difficult than actually doing something. So, for example, let's say you were running on a track and 1,000 people watching you. That isn't a big problem. I've noted that isn't a big problem. If I had 1,000 people watching me create cook a chicken curry, I'm in a competition. I don't have a problem with that one. Public speaking itself, it's like you're directly engaging with those 1,000 people.
Yeah.
That's the difference. While you focus on them, they're focusing on you. When you're running on the track, you're cooking, and they're just focusing on you, and you're just ignoring them.
Yeah, it's very intense. I get what you mean because it's like they're locked in essentially, right? And you're also locked in on them because you can't look nowhere else. You're not going to look at the ceiling or outside the window, right? You got to look at them. So again, finding, you know what I also find that helps me talk a little bit and stay on track. I usually start from the furthest person on the far side and just skim and scan through the audience. And it just helps me to just not focus on the capacity or how many people are there. It just allows me to work my way through my presentation. So maybe you might need visual cues. Maybe some people need fidget things. Like some people have elastics in their hand that they can just fiddle with because sometimes it's directing the anxiety in a different productive way. So it's literally finding things that are going to work for you, okay, Saeed? But we
Okay.
can explore that further. Like let's dig into it.
I
Let's
mean,
get you there.
I'm not sure the day I'll be on a stage with 1,000 people looking at me, but
You
it
never
is something I
know.
do think about. It is something I think about, but I've looked at it, on my job description. So you could be actually presenting to 1,000 students,
Yeah.
bringing people up. So these things can happen, you see. So
One of the largest audiences I've presented to was in a school, and it was 300 students, and I was just like, wow. So I really had to work the crowd, and instead of staying at the front, I actually used the chance to walk through the aisles because it allowed me to just, I guess it was kind of like a grounding activity almost, and just making sure that the people in the back were as engaged as the people in the front. So that's something I tried and it worked amazingly because then the ones at the back were like, we really liked that you came all the way to the back so we could hear you clearly. So just seeing how it works with you. Of course, different settings allow different things as well, right?
I mean, those techniques you just said, I actually use that in my own class. I have to
Yeah.
use them. So I can't ignore the people in the back. And I do start off from the back. And the
Hmm.
reason being is those students who don't want to engage with the teacher always sit in the back. So
They do.
I know that. So I just walk to the back. So then they
Yeah.
come to the front.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's great. So, shall we continue, folks?
Does anyone fancy doing a 20-second, giving it a trial? We could give you a topic if you'd like a topic. Nicholas, are we feeling brave? Bright, are we feeling brave?
Right. No, it's about a skill I love to learn.
Yeah.
Go for it, Nicholas.
Yeah,
Shall I time you, and then I shall let you know when 20 seconds is up, because it goes much, much faster than you think.
As a fresh graduate, I don't have experience. I don't have skills in many things, more especially public speaking, as my colleague was saying. So it's about trying to learn more practice, because if you just come out from school fresh, you don't have much experience. I love to become a marketing manager, but I don't have any practical experience about all those things, apart from the theories I learned from the school, the modules and the rest I learned. But practically, I don't have experience. So that is where the challenges are. That is why we try to join classes, training, other things, so that we can be improve upon our skills. So tomorrow or in future, if we happen to employ somewhere, we can be able to present ourselves properly. So that's it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. I let you carry on because it was so good and I couldn't bear to stop you. That was actually a minute.
That was amazing.
Which goes so quickly. Thank you so much for being brave and giving it a try. You might not feel that you've got the skills for public speaking, but you've just given it a really good bash there. So I would necessarily say that that's a skill that you would love to learn, but also are currently developing. And this is exactly the kind of thing that Roma can help you with. Would love to support you in your sort of goal to achieving becoming a marketing manager. We'll definitely be in touch afterwards. But thank you so much for that. And thanks for being brave and giving that a try. I hope it was all right, and it must have gone very quick for you.
Thank you.
Well done, Nicholas. So with that activity Nicholas so wonderfully volunteered to do, it just shows his ability to think on the spot, think about something and be able to talk about it, even if it throws him off. So if I was interviewing Nicholas and I said, I want you to tell me about a skill that you'd love to learn, and if he answered the way that he did, I would hire him on the spot. Now, this is essential for life, for networking, for interviews, to always just put yourself out there. Okay. Now, one of the stories I do have to tell you about is early on when I was first starting out. Okay. I had an interview and the interviewer threw me off. They said, what's one word that you'd describe yourself? Okay. And that completely threw me off because school taught me this is what interview questions look like, blah, 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 blah. And this was a completely different interview question that I've never encountered. But I knew, like, I have a skill to talk. That's my skill within itself. Okay. I was always told you speak too much in school, but now I get paid to do it. So I knew talking, my ability to think on the spot prepared me for that interview question. So I answered and I said unorthodox because I always think of ways that people don't normally consider, and that links to my dyslexic thinking. So being able to just think on the spot, improvise, put yourself in the situation, you could have landed yourself a job offer if you put yourself into it, okay? Which is why I want you to get comfortable with talking and being comfortable with putting your best self forward, okay? So again, let's refresh ourselves on where you'd use this skill. So pitching your business idea to investors and opportunities. Like now that could have been an opportunity. Unfortunately, it's not, Nicholas, but let's work on that, yeah? Chairing a meeting. So that could be for any role, if your manager's away, they'd be like, pitching for this meeting, you need to make the minutes and an agenda. You'd have to run with it, So having that skill to speak in front of people and just going with it and having those improvisation skills, you're going to be set up for success. So most roles where you coordinate, project manage, you do events, you might sell software as a service, or you're offering a software, or any concepts, training, development, any kind of role where there requires a coordination or information to be exchanged normally almost involves a presentation or two or a million. So this is why these skills are important. Okay, so here are some habits that help. So prepare key points and not a script. We always think we need to remember word for word of what we're going to say. Try and do what I do and just solely rely on your slides. and minimize the information that's on your slides. So you know that you're a pro at what you talk about. People are going to be locked into your presentation and what you say whilst they just summarize and read the key points. Because have you noticed some slides I'm going through a lot of information and some slides I'm only doing it in dribs and drabs because I know the information on the screen is digestible. Okay. Rehearse out loud. So ideally with feedback, get that feedback going from friends, family, whoever you trust that will give you some decent feedback. Record yourself, of course. Get to know yourself. Be comfortable with yourself. Okay. That's going to be probably the hardest part. It might feel really embarrassing, but actually, it creates a next level of self awareness. Okay. And I promise you, it will work really well for you. And then always open with confidence and then end with clarity. So you're starting off strong and then you're finishing even stronger because your audience are with you. Okay. Because it's a whole journey. So we've talked about building your confidence up over time. So there are public speaking groups on Eventbrite and apps like Meet Up. So there are skills exchange platforms and those sorts of things that you can get involved in. I'd recommend volunteering or hosting events in your local community. A lot of people are from many different religions. You might have religious community groups that you can run certain sessions on. Do it, have fun with it because that's where it starts. Because when you start having fun with that skill, it then becomes less of an effort and it feels less onerous on it because then it's just a part of you. Okay. And then also finding a role that allows you to develop the skills. So that's when I was speaking about when I worked in engagement with youth and it was like a sales role. But then also thinking about B2B sales, because when businesses sell to businesses, there's usually a pitch that happens or a knowledge exchange of some sort, which is normally through a presentation, right? So get into those roles where you're going to naturally have to do that. Then you won't even have to super focus on it because it's a part of your role. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sometimes some audience members might look a bit like zoned out. Don't take it personally. They might have had a really long day. Okay. But also, you might have people that are chattering in the back, those sorts of things. So, of course, you can control it to some extent, but you can't control people. So, don't ever take it personally. And also master your language. So, you know how people say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But I also think it's who you say it to. So make sure that your audience is the right audience first. And then because they're already in front of you, now all you need to do is engage with them, connect with them, build that network and that trust and that bond for them to trust you enough to engage with your business or you further. Okay. So my key tips, these are super, super key. So if you are delivering a presentation and you want to make sure that you're a pro and you don't want any jitters when you are delivering your slides, slide roulette is one of my favorite tips and tools, I guess, that I use. So normally I print out my slides in the note format, so they're only small, cut them out, and then I normally place them on a table and then I randomly pick up a slide and then I'd run through what I'm going to say on that slide. And then I do that until my heart's content if I want to. Okay. And then that will help me understand the key points and the key facts of the slides. And then you'll know them off by heart. So then the slides aren't even a thing. They're just there in the background, but you're delivering the information. That's how you keep people's attention. And also practice like you mean it. Be intentional with how you practice. And of course, you're the message and your presence really is the power. So use that and help people to move on.
I was just going to say, because I've seen you do that with your slides.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, actually, if you were someone that was maybe preparing for a job interview and you're not sure, and not to give too much of your secrets away, because it would be great if people want to work with you to support them with interview prep. But if you're prepping for an interview and you know the sorts of questions that you're going to be asked, could you prep in the same way? Because obviously you could prepare your sort of bullet point answers as you would a slide, because presenting a slide deck and preparing for an interview is largely the same, isn't it? It's about public speaking. It's about how you present. Could you kind of prepare in a similar way and like prepare the answers to the questions you might be asked, shuffle them around in different orders so that you're not sort of rehearsing a script, you're just getting really comfortable with what it is that you want to say. And I can also imagine that, as Saeed says, if you're presenting to a really, really big group of people, that's so nerve-wracking. But if you know your stuff and you know exactly what you're going to say, there's a confidence built in that, because you don't feel so nervous that you're going to jump over your words or you're going to kind of worry about that. I just thought that was like a really interesting sort of transferable skill. If you're not necessarily about to public speak with a big group of people, but if you are preparing for an interview, which I think a lot of people are currently, that's like a really nice way of practicing that.
Yeah, completely. So slide roulette transferred to job applications. Normally what I do is, and for interviews, I print out the job description, highlight the things I can do, but then highlight the things I can't do in a different color. So the things that I can do, I'm just going to blank out and ignore slightly. I'm going to address them, but I'm not worried about them. The things that I don't know, I'm going to go out and research it. So if they've mentioned this software, that software, I'm going to go on YouTube and just get like a 60-second review of that software. So when I'm in that interview, I can say, you know what? I've not actually used the software, but however, I've gone out and done some research. I understand the key features and the functions of the software, and I know how I could apply it in that environment. Come on, guys. Like, if you don't know something, you've got the information out there, you've got AI. Of course, using these tools and things will allow you to master your interviews, but definitely linking your skills to the role descriptions and then finding situations in STAR, like the STAR technique, around those skills. So then you already have the skills ready. Okay. So then there's another one that I call skill roulette. So you'll have your skill on one side and then your situation on the other. So then you can flip flop and you can say, okay, I'm expecting to get some communication questions, maybe some software related, because software has been mentioned a lot in the role descriptions. And then you almost build and tailor your skills according to the role on the roulette. So then you can pull out the cards and be ready to just go for it and just what you've got to offer. Okay. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for reminding me about that. I forgot. And Kate even told me, guys, and I'm going to practice what I preach. So Kate told me to create a win sheet of all the things that I do that are great. And I forgot to do that. And now I'm going to start doing that. So I'd suggest you guys do that as well. Like, there's so much we all do as individuals in our current jobs that really are above and beyond, but we always forget. So I'm just keeping a little note section on my phone of awesome things that I've done to just add onto my CV when I'm ready to amend it or upload it onto LinkedIn where I need to. It's just being purposeful and intentional, right, Kate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody does get too caught up in just doing the day job. And I think it's so easy to forget the great things that you do, even if they don't feel amazing in the moment. We've just had a great experience today where I don't know when Saeed and Roma, you guys met, but it was obviously a couple of years ago, a long time ago. And then it's obviously come to fruition and you've had this great win. For me, that's a win for Roma as well as you, Saeed. That's a double win. Write all these things down. It just means that then when you're having to come and, hopefully, Nicholas, in not very long, you'll be in an interview situation where you can say, these are all the things that I have done that are relevant for this. And I've got a list of them and I'm really proud of them. Not only does that instill a level of confidence, but it just creates such a nice atmosphere. And it's also a bit of kind of gratitude for yourself too, which I think is important. It's easy to forget. We've got to celebrate ourselves. No one else is going to do it, unfortunately.
Yes, I love it. This has been such a great session. I love it. Okay, so Q&A and reflection. So you can either do this internally or you can unmute yourself and speak up. So what stood out to you today? What will you do differently next time you speak? So whether that be in an interview, whether that be when you're pitching to funders or when you're speaking to a bunch of people.
I just want to emphasize on what you just said about the way your strategy that you go about printing the job description, and where you don't have experience, you go on research and try to research them. But before, companies used to take people and train them. But nowadays, they don't normally do. They need experienced people. Some companies say they need at least 2 years experience in this session, 2 years experience in this sector. So it makes it very hard for companies to employ new graduates or those that don't have much experience. That is
Yeah.
why we need to practice every day, trying to make research and practice, so that some company, when they employed you, sometimes they used to train you in the job. But
Yeah.
normally they don't do that. Most of the companies don't do that. They don't. They need the people that have experience. So in this case, it makes it very challenging for a new graduates that has come out and trying to look for a job. You see, we have been doing a menial job for many years,
Yeah.
even through years of our study. Now, as we graduate, we come out with good grades and other things. We cannot continue still doing the menial job, £11, £12 an hour, and other. We need to upgrade.
Yeah.
So we are trying all means to search in all corners so that we can be able to at least get the job that what we study for.
Definitely.
So that is where the problem lies now.
Yeah.
Not only me as personally, but
Yeah. Yeah.
many of my colleagues, Birmingham, Manchester, London, Suffolk, and everywhere. So it's very big challenging now. So
Completely.
we need a lot of help. We need a lot of in-service training.
I
So that
honestly think for the meantime, whilst you are applying, like no doubt, it sounds like you may have access to career service at some point. I reckon you'd benefit from having an appointment with a career consultant so we can have a look at your CV, make sure it's all good. We'll have a look
yeah.
at volunteering whilst you actively apply for work as well, because I don't want you to feel like you're putting things on hold. But whilst you're initially building up those skills and experience, those admin skills, if you haven't already got those, but further from that, actual marketing skills, then we can layer up on your skills and then we can start applying for work again once we rejig your CV, once you can add that experience on, okay?
Right.
So we'll come up with a plan, all right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Kate, you had your hand up for a sec.
Yeah, I was going to completely agree with you, Rome's, just to say I have flagged your details, Nicholas, and I'll chase that up with our mentoring team and we'll see if we can chase your application up because it sounds like that was something you'd really benefit from and I think that sounds great. But in the meantime, the rest of our department can absolutely help any of you guys on the call with a careers one-to-one, and we can help tailor your experience to the sort of industry that you're looking at. Maybe look if there are any gaps, you know, if you've got gaps that maybe you'd like to bridge, we can help you with some experience there as well. So I've got your details, Nicholas. But if anyone else is also interested, just drop us an email. We'd be so happy to help you.
And I'm just going to finish off the slides. So you're right, guys. Practice and time is confidence. That's the only way you're going to build your confidence. And again, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real, you know, and you have to be your actual authentic self, but your best self as well. Okay. And then I'd always recommend everyone to scan this QR code to engage with the alumni team. That will take you to our various links to engage with us on different social media platforms. So please do scan that QR code. I'll leave it on for 2 more seconds and I'm going to change the slide. And also, I would always recommend booking in an appointment with me and with any other career consultant as well, but me mostly. So if you want an appointment, please email this alumni email and they'll send you all the details you need so we can have a remote session if you're not from Birmingham. If you're from Birmingham or you're in Birmingham and you want a face-to-face appointment, I'm more than welcome to do that with you guys as well. I'm always based at Norfolk House, so we're happy to meet you there as well. Okay, we're flexible. So thank you so much for your time, your presence, your energy, the discussions today. It was absolutely amazing. And I look forward to the next event.